Okay, welcome to the show. How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Good, good. And you are Jaune, a psychic medium, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Perfect. And paranormal investigator.
That I am. Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's start off with some things that that resonate with you, something that stands out. What got you into this whole, this whole paranormal world?
Well, I feel like it was just something that I was essentially born into, with having, abilities and seeing things and people from when I was a young child that I, had passed on before me that I had no idea about, but was later on able to validate. And kind of, when someone has these abilities and especially when it comes to develop as a child, it's like persistent. And they don't go, they get stronger and stronger until you either lean into them and develop them and acknowledge it, or it just completely consumes your life in the form of anxiety and depression. um so I decided to lean into it, and really
Brace
start,
it.
yeah, embrace it and really
Yeah.
start developing it probably when I was about, I'll say about 25, um and starting off slowly, kind of like more of a practicing getting messages from people, or and having them, the living person, validate it, and getting into things like tarot and meditation, and then kind of diving into myself. And I really understood how it could be a very healing ability and tool for some people. Gives them answers and gives them space to grieve, and be validated. And I wanted to do something more with it, something a little bit more scientific,
Okay.
to where I can have like instruments sort of validate and prove, or try at least attempt to validate and prove, and that there was something beyond this physical life. Um, and of course, that was in the boom of ghost hunters and taps and all that stuff. So it was just kind of the right timing to get into it and really develop it and see what it was about. Um, and that's pretty much of what I do. Is I like to, one, people, I feel like it's a lot of times when people have like some type of haunting, whether it be intelligent or residual, the fear that they have is just due to fear of the unknown. And a lot of times that fear increases the activity unknowingly.
Okay.
um
That's an
so
interesting theory.
yeah, because it's emotions. Emotions are energy. Emotions are electricity, and it
Right.
kind of feeds into it, especially with things like fear. So it really kind of helps families and people in living inside of the haunting situations to
Mhm.
understand what's going on and to figure it out, and for the spirit to be heard. Um,
Right. So you said you have spirits that like come to you and like ask you to give their loved ones messages. Like, is this through the tarot reading? Is this just out in the open sometimes? Like they just come to you, or how does that all work?
it depends on. It can be through the tarot reading, but whenever I'm out about and doing my daily life and whatever, I tune out those abilities because I want to have,
A normal
space for,
life.
yeah, space for me to live my life. And plus, people have got to be ready to hear the messages. So I say, if, have them come to me. I'm not going to like Teresa Caputo the place and go in the grocery store and just start reading from a random stranger who I don't know is ready to accept it.
Yeah.
Um, so I tell them, okay, if you want me to give them this message, have them come to me. And that does happen sometimes, especially whenever, like my neighbor here, um, really, kind of, we do the modern neighborly thing. We say hi to each other, but we really don't know. And then all of a sudden, I had this overwhelming feeling just to tell her to take care of herself better and to like, not be so stressed out all the time. And it was coming from like a motherly figure. And so I told her that, and I stopped her, and gave her the reading right there. And
Yeah.
it turns out she had been having like these mini strokes that were building up to like a bigger thing. So it really kind of helped her not, you know, calming down and kind of like more not stressing or raising your blood pressure even more and taking care of yourself really helped her mitigate that thing, that
Wow, that's
unfortunate
pretty cool.
circumstance. So, and there's things like that that'll happen. Um,
Wow.
and so I'm
Have
blessed to
you
have it.
ever have you ever had any like children spirits come to you to say, "Hey, I'm looking for my mom" or anything like that?
Um, y- yes and no, because so just today, I I'm one of those weird people that like to go in and explore abandoned cemeteries. And I
I'm
had
one of those
found,
too then.
yeah, I love it. And the evidence is gonna, I have to go through it and I'll put it up on my, channel and you guys can view it. But um, we found this abandoned cemetery about 40 miles away from here, and it had been abandoned since 1923. And so I'm like, yes, perfect. It's abandoned in the woods. I'm on it.
Okay.
So I brought my equipment up there with a couple of my friends, and most of the um, graves there were children from like that had passed away in the early 1900s. And there was
Oh,
one of them, brother and sister, that were buried together, and they kept on feeling like they were alone. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't know where their mommy and daddy was. And it turns out when we were looking further into it, and we're asking them these questions. And
yeah.
what's really cool is that I have some dogs that passed away over the last year and a half. I had two of them. And anytime there's a child spirit, they will come and play with them. They will come and make sure that they're okay, keep them busy, make them feel comforted, and they'll help them come through on our instruments.
Oh,
Um, and so that's what they did. Um, they helped them come through on our instruments, our EMF detectors, spirit boxes, and I was videoing all this. I just haven't had time to go through the digital recorders, but it was more of the sense of it was more, I was picking up more of the energy that had imprinted on the land at the time whenever they had passed, because the cemetery had been abandoned because there was seepage underneath the cemetery. And it turns out not all the families were able to have their loved ones moved to another cemetery. So they just
right.
unfortunately had to leave them there. And I think that was more of the message that I was getting, feel alone, abandoned. I don't know where my mommy and daddy is. I'm trying to look after my sister. But I feel like I was picking up on more of the energy that was happening at around the time that they had passed away.
That's really
Um,
sad.
yeah. It's why in those instances I'm really glad when my dogs come in and just kind of take care of the children.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever ask them, or in any instance throughout your life as a medium, have you ever asked them, or even a more mature spirit like an adult or whatnot, like why you still here? Why are you stuck here? How come you have not
Yes.
passed on or anything like that?
Yes. And I've found the answers that I have gotten, and all these videos are up on my socials, but the answers that I have gotten were really kind of almost contradicting to what the paranormal field says. The more of a feeling is there, the answers that I've gotten is that there's multiple vibrations to like the heavenly side, and we kind of almost exist side by side in a separate dimension as they do. So it's like they aren't really stuck here. They can come and go as they please. They do like to come and go and talk to people who are either they love in some way, they have some sort of emotional attachment to, or they come and visit places that they've had an emotional attachment to. So it's not necessarily that they're stuck here. Most of them aren't stuck here. They do come and go as they please. And so that got me thinking about
So
how,
it, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
yeah,
like the reason we do this show is not only to be rich and famous,
right,
that's not all the reasons for a YouTube show. I mean, hopefully, it becomes a big show eventually. But
right,
what we're trying to do is, I don't know if you've watched any of our other episodes, but we're trying to circumference just the general consensus of knowledge of
right.
anything anybody has. Now, with that being said, in this scenario, do you feel like, how you said like they can come like whatever, whenever they want? So are you saying that they can travel to like what heaven would be? and then out and come to see us and then just go back? Like a loved one can, like for
Yeah.
instance, my dad, I lost my dad a couple of years ago. This is his ashes on my neck. You feel that he could potentially be in heaven, come see me for a little bit, be on this plane, and then go back?
Well, it's he can be in heaven and visit you at the same time because he's energy. He's everywhere all at once. So especially you'll notice in times when you're kind of like really thinking about him or thinking, oh, I need to, what would dad's advice would say, you more over feel him more than anything. So he's still in his heavenly existence, but at the
Okay.
same time visiting you. So how we view heaven as is behind his pearly gates is really just a human construct. That's not how it is. It's like a vibrational match. It's like changing the radio stations. So we're in charge of the radio stations, much like they are, but they get to go into the radio stations and it, switches knobs. You can go back
Oh,
from one station to the other in just kind of exertion of energy thing. So
wow.
there I always tell people heaven is here with us at the same time. It's just in a different dimension that we can't see. So they get to come and go as they please. And there's different aspects of vibrations, that they go through. They go through their life review. Some of them go through what's called the healing room. Some of them go through what's called the educational room. Some of them even go through like schools to be guides and to their ancestors or to their people. And they pass that learning down, um, you know, to other guides. So,
Okay. Wow, that's
um,
that's very interesting.
yeah, so I found that I have a fascination with veterans, war veterans, and you'll find that people that have gone through like World War II and World War One, all that, go through a
Mhm.
healing room because of that trauma. So anybody who's had
Can you
significant trauma.
explain what this healing room is to you and how that concept works?
So from my understanding is the healing room is just a place of different energies and vibrations. Different colors carry different vibrations and feelings. Like you'll notice that if you meditate and you imagine yourself surrounded in white light, you'll feel differently from them whenever you imagine yourself in green light. So it's like all these different prisms of colors and energies coming on together at the same time to heal the soul and whatever trauma that soul has been through to help them learn the lesson that they're going through. From what I have seen in meditation, it would be like being in the middle of a rainbow, um,
Oh,
and you're
wow.
having all these different feelings and things coming through you at once because it's that energy is pushing out the trauma to help the
Okay.
soul come back together. So I
Okay.
find that a lot. I had a specific conversation with I think it was a World War II veteran who had been through Pearl Harbor about him going through the healing room. And he's answering direct questions on the EMF. Like if I'm saying, if this is true, light it up to yellow. He lights it up to yellow. If this is true, light it up to red. And then he lights it up to red. So
Oh,
that to me
wow.
is kind of, and it was direct answers. So,
So indirectly, you kind of helped him like pass on sort of thing.
well, it was more of he helped me understand what he went through on the other side. Because, when I
Oh,
think of like somebody that survived Pearl Harbor, I don't know if I could ever get over that. I would probably be stuck in that forever. Whereas
yeah.
he's telling me is that no, we do get through this. And it takes different people a different amount of time to get through this, but there's an ultimate lesson and reason why we go through it in order to come back down and spread the healing that they have gone through, kind of thing.
Wow. That's awesome. That's actually really cool. Have you
Yeah.
ever have you ever done like a reading for somebody and like came out with like a name or something that only you would have been able to hear from their loved one that was deceased?
Are you talking about like a nickname?
Yeah, or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, like oh wow, that's there's no way you could have known that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. The one that I can really remember is I have a friend that owns a local animal rescue organization, and I'll do fundraiser readings to help raise funds for the organization. And one time this lady came in and she was just looking for a reading for herself. And I'm like, who's Boo Boo? Like, I just kept on seeing this name in my head of like, in like how you know those silent movies that has those black and white letters and they're kind of very intricate. And I kept on seeing like Boo Boo. And I'm like, who's Boo Boo? And she's like, that's my dog that passed away 6 months ago. That was his nickname, Boo Boo. And I'm like, okay, well, I think he has a message for you. And it's this message of, it was just my time to go. Don't feel guilty. There was nothing you could have done, even though he was a young dog. And she's like, I've been locked in grief for 6 months thinking that I could have done more. And I'm like,
Oh,
okay. And it's just wonderful things like that that I feel like so blessed to have this
that's
gift.
really cool that an animal, even though that animals don't speak here on Earth or whatnot, can pass through a message and have thoughts like that and able to give to their owners.
Yeah, because, whenever they're speaking, sometimes I'll hear them like in an actual voice, especially if there's
Mhm.
something specific about that person's voice, like an accent or something that would help identify them. But,
Yeah,
a lot of times they'll come through in pictures and things like that. So, like, pictures are a universal language.
yeah.
I if say like somebody a lot of times so I have this infinity for the singer Janis Joplin. I love Janis Joplin. So if I'm picking up on someone who has passed away from addiction and I see an image of Janis in my head, that person passed away from an addiction. So it's kind of that
Oh,
universal language that even though they may not have spoken English, they can still show me a picture of something that I can relate to that would give them that message.
oh,
You know?
wow. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it
Wow.
is.
Have you ever had anything that you came across that, because I know obviously in your world, you've probably seen quite a bit and dealt with quite a bit. Has there ever been anything that you have came across that was like shocking, like, oh my God, I can't believe that this just happened, or anything that you figured out, like, oh my God, this person was murdered. Nobody ever figured this out. You know what I mean? Anything like that?
Um, Kind of. It's I live in Washington State, so this was like the hunting ground of Ted Bundy and Gary Ridgway, the Green River
Oh,
Killer and
really?
stuff like that. So, and I like to hike. So I was hiking one day around Issaquah, and I'm like, why do I feel like there's a lot of bodies here? And I couldn't shake the feeling, so I left the hike. I'm like, I don't like this feeling.
Yeah.
So I went back and kind of thought about it and I Google searched the area and it turns out I was within a half a mile of Ted Bundy's dumping grounds. So I'm like, I am not going hiking there again. I don't want anything to do with that.
No.
That feeling and it's just kind of there and it's sad because it's a beautiful place. Beautiful, looking they look like the Swiss Alps, but I can't enjoy it because of that energy that's just left there. And I'm
That
like,
makes
I
perfect
don't,
sense. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, and I don't know if there's some people that they haven't found that are still here. I do not want to come up upon that. So if you want me to help police find you, if you're still here, bring them to me because I don't want to come across your
Right.
stall
Of
type of
course.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has there ever been somebody that came to you from the spirit world and wanted you to find their person, but you didn't really know who they were talking about? And like, please find my mom or tell this to this person, but you had no idea who they wanted you to talk to?
Yeah. I get that quite a bit. And
Because
just
that's
like,
got to be
well,
hard. Like somebody coming to you from the 1800s or whatever, or who knows when they lived, right? And they're trying to have you contact somebody else that's passed away. Is that a possibility?
well, if it's like two people that have passed away, yes, because the only thing that's keeping them from finding each other is one person's like either fear, grief, or emotions and things like that. So a lot of times, if you'll just kind of push out that healing light to them, it'll kind of automatically come together. But like if it's somebody from the spirit world that's passed on and for some reason looking for somebody that is in the physical plane. I haven't had that happen, but I have had it to where I'll hear like a child say, I don't know where my mommy is. And I'm like, I don't know how to help them. I just don't know what to do with that. And, you know, a lot of times I don't like to sit with that energy. Um, so I will say, can you come back to me whenever I'm ready? I gotta be mentally prepared to help with child spirit. And they
Right.
do. They do often.
Well, first you'd have to find out who that child was. Then you have to find out who mom is. Is mom still alive? How do I
Hmm.
contact mom? These are all variables here. That sounds like it'd be very difficult.
Yeah, and I'm just not gonna contact, some a woman saying, "Hey, your that child wants to talk to you." Like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
get
gonna
a
be tough.
restraining order real fast, you know. Uh, you know.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
here's the
just
thing, though. They might know that there's some merit to that because, first off, how the hell do you know them? How
right.
would you know they have a dead child in the first place if you didn't have contact from
Right.
that dead child?
Yeah,
You wouldn't.
and that's true. Um, that's very true. I never even thought about that. My thinking is I don't want to cause more grief than harm, and if I don't know where somebody's at in the
Right,
process, I don't know if I want to open that can of worms, you know.
right. Do you have your own practice where you like actually have people come to like, make appointments with you as a medium or whatnot? Have you ever thought of doing that?
Actually, I do. I read for it's actually an online app called Purple Garden and Purple Ocean. It's kind
Oh,
of
that's
like
cool.
California Psychics. I'm normally on there Mondays where people can just, you know, download the app, log on, and look up
Is
my
this
name,
like a
and they'll see.
subscription sort of thing that we
No,
could sign up for? Or?
no, it's just an app that you download, and then you kind of pay as you want a reading. You pay as you go.
Wow, that's really cool. I've never heard of something like that before.
Yeah. I really like it. I've been there for about been doing that for about 5 years. So yeah, it's
That's
pretty cool. I
awesome.
like it.
That's
And then
really cool.
I do have people like around town that know me locally that will call me and schedule an appointment. And when I have time, I will do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on, because as a medium, I'm sure being in that world, close to that world, this and that, you probably would have more knowledge than even just a regular investigator, as we are. What's your thoughts on like the existence of shadow people and the fact that they have like are there shadow people to you that have never existed before as humans?
Yes. Um, I
And
think Sha
why? Do you know where they come from? Why do they exist? Are they all evil? Are they not evil? What's going on?
most of them are not evil. My experience is there's two things. One is for it takes a lot of energy for our spirit to manifest. You
Okay.
know, that's why you kind of always see them in black and white. You know, it's very rare that they're ever in color or have fun, or you may see like a detail on their jacket, but then their face is kind of like blurred out. You know, because
Yeah.
it takes a lot of energy to manifest that detail. So I think a lot of times that we catch them is whenever they're trying to learn how to manifest in that detail and they come across as shadow people. Because the easiest color, the most natural color in the world is black.
It's
Because
black.
black
Right.
is just an absence of color.
Right.
So that's part of it. I also think that in my experience, the energy that people put out, like especially with like fear, grief, trauma, anger, it stays and it collects. So sometimes it'll, and if it's gone on long and persistent enough, it'll collect and to become its own entity. It's kind of like a tulpa or a thought form. So, and that kind of makes me think of like these places like the Queen Mary. How haunted would it be as haunted if we had put in so much energy into the place, so much
Okay.
thought into the place, kind of thing. So they're just there. It's just kind of energy that we've created from our own crap. I do believe that there would be what you would call inhuman, sort of maybe archaic energy forms.
Okay.
But those are very few and far between, you know.
All right. And what about Hatman? Have you ever heard anything of
I
Hatman? Have you
have
ever
heard of
came across
Hatman.
him or
I haven't come across him, but I have heard of him. I have come across the old hag. She's
who's
a
that?
weird. So she's kind of like Hat Man, but she's like this kind of. She appears to be like this old, evil kind of like witch-looking thing that often comes to people that are having insomnia or sleep paralysis. So she's kind of like the Hat Man.
Mhm.
Um, I've experienced her. I experienced her
Like physically
whenever.
seen her or what?
Yeah, I've physically seen her because, and she always comes around whenever I'm like really upset about something, like deep grief.
Okay.
Like the last time was when my soul dog died, and I saw her, and I'm like, get the fuck away, because I know you're just playing on my grief. And she did. She left. But no, Hatman, I've heard of him. I've researched him because I'm interested in that kind of like collective experience. That's what gets me about
Yeah.
it. He's a
We have a
collective
an episode on
experience.
Hatman. It's something that happened to one of the guys that we've interviewed. I don't know if you've watched that episode yet.
I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, you should check it out.
But I kind of wonder if like he's one of those what do you call them? Like interdimensional beings that tend to come around when we're experiencing certain low points in our lives, because I've noticed that a lot of the people that experience him are in some sort of spiritual crisis of faith, or a crisis of questioning their own identity. So is he like one of those beings that is kind of comes in to either
More like a
scare the
warning.
yeah, to like scare the crap out of somebody, or to say, hey, things exist beyond this physical plane. Some of them you don't want to know, so get your shit together, kind of thing. You know, that's
Right.
kind of and it's why I'm glad I've never experienced him. Although
No, yeah.
experiencing the old hag was enough for me, but um,
From what I understand, when he does come around or whatnot, and when you see him, it like literally paralyzes you. You cannot move. You have to just look at him.
well, and that's because he's like drawing this dire attention to him, right?
Yeah.
It's like this is a matter of life and death for you. Like you can't look away from this no matter how much you want to, kind of thing. Because it's yeah,
Okay.
when we're in that's my take on it. It's like when we're
Yeah.
in spiritual crisis,
Hmm.
we can either go one of ways. Either we can take that and heal and take that out into the world and do a lot of healing for other people, or we can
Right.
just kind of like lay down and die and give into our inner demons.
Makes
So
sense.
yeah, and that's why I feel like he's drawn to them.
Do you believe that mirrors are portals for them that like where they can come and transfer through here and there from those?
Yes, but I believe that anything anybody puts any energy into, or significant amount of time putting any energy into, can become a portal. So if you think about it, mirrors are things that exist that are watching time pass by. And different people will spend a lot of time in front of the mirror where they're getting ready. They're putting that energy into it.
Okay.
And I feel like that energy just sort of stays there.
Just kind of resonates or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of
Okay.
creates its own energy vortex kind of thing and portal. But yes, I
Okay.
do believe in that. And I do believe in ley lines. I do believe that
What is it
there's
called?
ley lines.
What does that mean?
It's certain points on the earth that carry more spiritual energy than others, and they intersect with each other. They run parallel, or they run intersect with each other.
I have never
Uh,
heard of that in my whole life.
yeah, if you look it up, it's called ley lines. And it's points on the earth that, if you notice, they will have, ancient civilizations were really big into them, because they'll have the pyramids of Egypt will line up with the pyramids in the Mayan and Incan cultures. So that's like one big ley line going around the world, spiritual energy vortex.
Wow. I never
Yeah,
knew that.
yeah.
To this day, they still don't know how the pyramids were made, correct?
Um, no, they've come up with some theory of like it was like levers and pulleys, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, because that's like, you know, 4,000 tons of rock that are from like a different part of Egypt. Like,
Right.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, Stargate is how it happened, basically. I feel
Right.
like.
Yeah. So you think it's more like alienish?
I think that the people in the ancient cultures had more knowledge on how to manipulate energy than what even we do. Um,
Oh,
I think it was something like that. And
you
also,
mean like how some of them can like levitate and
mhm,
move things with their mind and things like this?
yeah. And I do believe that there was some, I want to say, alien form that had come down, it's come down plenty of times before because you find them throughout ancient cultures. You know, um,
I
the
heavily believe in aliens, cryptids, all that.
Yeah. I watched Ancient Aliens, the guy with the crazy
Yep.
hair.
Hmm.
Um, and then I also watched, it's called Ancient Civilizations, and there was this real interesting theory about how some of the gods that are displayed in like the Mayan and Incan temples were actually ancient aliens because their civilization vastly took off after they visited.
Oh,
And it's just
wow.
amazing. Yeah.
Wow. That's very that wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. I
I
love
mean,
that stuff.
I believe I people may think I'm crazy after watching this show now, but I believe that even there's even a possibility right now that we're living amongst aliens and we don't even know it.
I think so too. I think it's very much like a they live Roddy Piper type thing where they've just assimilated with us.
Right.
And
I'm not saying like some people like transformer. I'm not saying that kind of thing,
right.
but I'm sure there's some somewhere. There has to be something. There's a lot of things that they don't tell us. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree. It's like, oh, what's that? There was like a civilization of giants. I forgot what they were called, but they had found some of their DNA in the ancient Egyptian civilization, two different kind of species. So was that alien kind of DNA technology kind of blending together?
Right.
You know, how do we explain some of these things? I don't know. It beats
Yeah.
me.
Wow. Well,
No,
it has been an awesome episode. I
thank
learned so
you.
much from you. I would love to have you on again. Unfortunately,
Absolutely.
we're within about 4 minutes of recording time. That only gives me a certain amount of time, you know. So I will get this spun down for you and get you the link as soon as it's up.
Okay. And
Yep.
I'd be happy to be on at any time.
Awesome. Awesome. As soon as you maybe do some more investigations, have more experiences, we'll reach out within the next couple of months. We actually plan on doing an episode where I'm going to try to see if I can get as much of us together so we can all kind of have like a group conversation about everything we've experienced.
Perfect. That sounds awesome.
Awesome. Thank you for being on the show,
All
and
right.
I'll get this to you as soon as I can.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye.